All right, looks like we're live, and I am the Bechtloff, and this is technically Thursday morning, 1 a.m. or 1:30 here on the East Coast, and I'm joined with none other than internet aristocrat, Mr. Metokur, Jim, whatever he's called this week.
It's a different name every day.
Well, I think it's Brightside Bob tonight, isn't
Yeah, today it would be Brightside Bob. That's correct.
it? So this is kind of spur of the moment. I just was not able to sleep, and I decided to stream, and then somebody tweeted at Jim that he should hop on, and Jim decided to hop on. So I'm glad to have him.
Yeah, not
Um,
a problem. I'm usually open to coming on when people ask. It's just for whatever reason people don't ask. So all you got to do is say, "Do you want to?" And usually I will.
well, glad to have you. So first of all, I just want to say I am thrilled to death that you finally did the channel awesome videos. Those are just turning out great. I've heard somebody in the comments say you turned out to be the anti-Spoonie in that you started a Patreon and that made you work harder. Where most people do a Patreon and then they turn into lazy shits and just catch it on the money.
Uh, I've tried. There have been a few deadlines I've missed. A couple videos I had to push back like a day or two. One that I pushed back about 5 days, which I feel bad about. But for the most part, I've tried to stick to the schedule, which is a video every week. I mean, I've hit beyond that. I think since I started it back in February, I've done maybe 30 videos and about 5 or 6 live streams, and then there's stuff separate on like VidMe and stuff I'm posting on other sites. So I'm trying to give people their money's worth, I guess, which sounds fucking weird, but I'm putting in the best effort that I can. But it could be better. So I wouldn't say anti-Spoonie. I'd say I'm shooting to try to be better than Spoonie at the very least.
Well, that's not the highest bar, but you certainly mean it.
I
Um,
know, yeah, it's a bar that you could trip over walking on level ground, but I'm still trying to hop over it as best I can.
not having an open hatred and contempt for your fans is the biggest way you can do it.
Yeah, Spoonie has a contempt for the people that like him. I think that's the one thing that I really dislike about him, and I think that's the one thing that separates him from almost anybody on Channel Awesome, save one or two people, is that he really dislikes the people that support him or follow him or fans of his. He seems to get offended by the fact that they're fans of his. I've never really seen anything like it, I guess. Um, and it's not people that are even fucking with him. It's just people that are saying, "Hey, I like your stuff. I'd like more of it. If you could just make more of it, please. I want to give you money. I want to give you hundreds of dollars. Just please make more videos. I love what you do." And he'll ban them and tell them they're pieces of shit, and just treat them awful. Just treat them like they're dog shit. And it amazes me because realistically, my content is okay. Spoonie is leagues above what I am. If Spoonie were to put in the effort that he did back when he started, and he continued to do that, and his editing and all of that continued to improve, he would blow me out of the fucking water as far as view count and sub count and everything else. He would be up there with, I think Angry Joe, what is he, million plus subs, whatever. He would be up there. Spoonie's just a guy that just completely fell apart. There's stuff I didn't mention in the video that I'm going to mention in the finale, but a lot of it has to do with his maladies and how he kind of uses illness as an excuse to duck responsibility. I mean, I even have like a chart that I made for the final video that almost pinpoints every time he falls through on a pledge or a promise, there's some related bullshit excuse of an illness. And it's really interesting to see that every single time it's something new. Like he's a medical fucking mystery at this point. With the amount of illnesses that are circulating through his body, he should be being studied in a fucking medical museum. So he's a weird guy altogether.
I'm surprised he doesn't have gout.
I, yeah, I know that he needs to eat a little more red meat. Apparently, Phil tells me that it's the red meat that does it to him. So maybe Spoonie needs to just start eating more cow. I don't know.
But I mean, if I had to, put him on the couch for a minute with amateur psychoanalyzing, I'd just say he probably hates himself, and that's why he hates his fans. But I
No,
mean,
see
that's guessing with a stranger, so I don't know, but
yeah. Well, I mean, mine's guessing with a stranger too. It's all speculation, really. But I think I don't know what it is. Maybe he's similar to me in some ways. I'm freaked out by the idea of a large sub following. I don't know really know how to explain that. It's one of the reasons I always kind of ditched accounts in the past. Maybe it's pressure. Maybe he just doesn't like being under a microscope. Maybe he doesn't feel like he can be as free as he wants to be. But it seems like self-sabotage with kind of a weak personality trait. You know, one of the other interesting things somebody brought up to me, I didn't put into the video, but I think is really fucking on the money, is Spoonie really went downhill when he wasn't living with his brother. Like when he didn't have his brother kind of as a taskmaster over his ass to make that content come out and to do his job, suddenly things started falling apart. So like I say, this is shit I'll talk about in the final video, but there's a lot of stuff, and there's behind the scenes stuff too that I've heard from people that have worked at Channel Awesome, from some of the bigger personalities, from some of the people just doing some of the small time shit. So there's some fucking doozies in there
well, I
about
think
how people behaved.
yeah, I think a lot of creative people benefit from having someone that can tell them no. And I mean, a lot of music careers or TV shows or something have been derailed because somebody involved got too much creative control and things just went to shit. So I wonder if part of that's that just in life in general, he just would benefit from accountability.
Ah, fuck. I don't know if he's like a George Lucas where he wanted, what is it, C3PO to be a fucking used car salesman. You know what I mean? But I don't know if it's that, but you could be right. You'd have to, I suppose, if you went on the premise that his brother was the one driving his motivation to get him to do his work and complete it, you'd have to try to come up with a timeline that syncs that up to when all those fucking skits started getting inserted. Like when it went from him just tearing the shit out of like really bad games and movies, or talking about Ultima or doing the Final Fantasy stuff, to having 5-minute fucking segments of Dr. Insano. Like, you know, that would be his car salesman. You know what I mean? So how does that line up? What's the timeline on that? That's the really interesting shit. That's the stuff that I want to delve into at the very end. A lot of speculation, a lot of rumors, a lot of behind the scenes stuff. The first series or part of the videos, I just wanted to stick with the shit where I could say, I'm not making it up. These people said it. Here are the tweets. Here are the archives. You know, even the weird Linkara shit, I can show you the fucking archives. It's not made up. I can show you the records of his fucking post. It's archived. So, you know, anything beyond that, I'm kind of saving for later.
But Linkar is the one I kind of felt a little bad for him because, I mean, like he's kind of a smug douche, but he doesn't strike me as much of a shithead as a lot of the Channel Awesome guys. So, I mean, right before your video on Linkar, I knew what was going to come up, and I just found myself saying, like, you know, oh, that's a shame, the poor guy, but I'm a big hypocrite because I'm going to watch it and laugh. But
well,
like,
Linkara, like what Linkara has going for him is consistency. Like you can't look at Linkara and say he's lazy. He's not Spoonie. He's more Doug. You know, like he puts out a fucking video when he says he's going to put out a video. When Linkara says I have a schedule, he almost always adheres to it. Even with his little, you know, shit fit over the Power Ranger stuff. He put out, I think, 500 videos since he started at Channel Awesome. And when you look at the timeline and you add everything up, that's more than one video per week. So Linkara has always been consistent in releasing his shit. It's usually of the same quality. So, I mean, if you were like a Linkara fan and you liked Atop the Fourth Wall, if you like the stuff that he makes, you're guaranteed that you're going to continually get that. Whereas with somebody like Spoonie, I mean, you may have to wait half a fucking year before you see something from him.
well, also with Linkara, I always felt he wasn't quite as much of an asshole to his fans as some of the other Channel Awesome people. I mean,
Linkara was a cunt behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes, but
you
openly
don't
to his fans,
you have to understand what his personality was like behind the scenes.
Oh,
like
I'm sure. I've heard
the shit that I've heard from people like Dan and others. Like you would not imagine what Linkara is like behind the scenes. So again, that's for the fucking end.
But at least to his fans, he always struck me as like he'll retweet things for his fans if they ask him. He's you know I don't know. He has a certain level of professionalism with his fans that some of the other ones don't have. Whether
Oh, and
he,
I'm not trying to take that away from him. Like I said, he delivers on what he says he's going to deliver on. The people that give him money on Patreon get what they pay for. Like Linkara, as far as business is concerned, if you want to call it business, he is on the level. He doesn't fuck around. He's consistent. He always delivers what he says he's going to deliver. I thought his movie was fucking awful, but nonetheless, he got the money and got that shit done in a year.
well,
Whereas Spoonie got $5,000, got all this money, and didn't even come up with a speculative script for over a year. So, like, that's the difference between the two. One got the whole fucking thing done. The other didn't even start it.
well, I'm sure his movie was awful, but I mean, stretching any of these type of critic characters into a whole movie, I mean, you know, Angry Video Game Nerd is probably the best of the bunch when it comes to a character, and that movie was weak.
That movie was awful. Like, none of the fucking people that are great at criticizing art or film or video
Yeah.
games can make art or film or video games. That's why they're critics. That includes me. If I tried to make a fucking movie or a video game, I guarantee you it would be dog shit. Like there are people that are good at tearing apart things, and there are people that are good at building things up. That's just kind of the reality of it. It's a rare person. It's a renaissance man that can do both. And I don't think, like, the Nostalgic Critic anniversary videos were bad. Angry Video Game Nerd movie was bad. Linkara's movie was bad. Space Cop sure wasn't the greatest thing on earth, and I love Red Letter Media. Armic 21 and Action 52, the epic movie, was an abomination. And he was working on that thing for 3 fucking years, and he was doing it before anybody else was.
I never even heard of that one.
Oh, he had a whole fucking script written. He was going to have action scenes, and, you know, it was going to be like, oh, Armic, because he was a video, like, back in the beginning, you had maybe 10 or 15 personalities that were really big in video games. Like, Spoonie 1 is actually inspired. He actually talks about this by Armic 21. Armic was one of, like, the original guys doing that shit. You know, if you go look up, what is it, Big Rigs or something like that, it's one of his big PC reviews. So it's, you know, pretty decent stuff, from funny stuff. But his big magnum opus, right, the thing that he was working towards was the Action 52 movie. And it had this huge script, and he was going to do this great thing. And do you know what it turned out to be? It was 3 hours of him playing the video game. He cut out the entire movie. It was 3 fucking hours of him playing Action 52. And at the end, he actually has, like, the end credits, like it was some kind of feature-length thing. It was fucking ridiculous.
That almost seems like some sort of Andy Kaufman-like joke he was playing on everybody. Like, that doesn't even sound like a legitimate attempt to make a movie.
No, it was... he wanted to really do it. It just didn't work. It just did not work out. His vision was bigger than the reality of what he could produce.
And I have to say, I was really disappointed she didn't do the Lindsay video, because I think of all the people on that site, she's probably the biggest shithead.
Who's that, Lindsay Ellis?
Yeah, Lindsay.
Yeah, I had originally planned to do the 3rd episode on Alice herself, and, you know, I looked into it and I found a bunch of stuff that I did find funny. But the problem I ran into was there wasn't a lot of it. And so what I was originally going to do, and what I ended up doing, the video that would have come out, was actually called the Dynamic Duo. And it wasn't just going to be Lindsay. It was going to be Lindsay and Todd in the Shadows. And the thing of it was, you know, I watched the thing and I was like, you know, if I'm going to include Todd, if I'm going to do, like, this 2-part thing, I might as well just move this shit into the compilation video and keep the best bits in that. And rather, you know, than have, like, this split episode thing, because I just didn't like the way it turned out. You got, like, 3 main things people will talk about with Lindsay: the abortion documentary, her shitty feminist website that fell apart because of the funding and nobody was interested, and her rape rap video, which she has tried her hardest to erase from the internet. Which, by the way,
know about that one.
Oh, I have a full copy of it. So, Lindsay, that's going to be fun to watch your reaction to that one, because the rape rap is coming back. So, you know, I was like, fuck it. I didn't like the way it turned out. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do a Linkara instead. Because it was going to be Lindsay, but I did not like how it turned out. So,
Well,
I'll
I
do
can
Linkara
understand
instead.
that. I definitely can see your point that, you know, beyond those three things, there's nothing really there. I mean, she is immensely boring.
Yeah,
But
I mean that's a lot of what people don't like about Lindsay Ellis is her personal politics. They don't like who she hangs out with, and they don't like what she says online. She's very kind of feminist SJW shit, right?
mhm.
And there are only so many jokes you can really hammer in on that. You need more to kind of chew into. Like with Doug, it was just really, I just wanted it to be, I mean, it was bland, I'm not gonna lie, but it was just informational because I wanted to use him as like the base point for the whole thing. And then you get into Spoonie, and Spoonie is like this guy that fell apart and didn't deliver on anything. And then you get into Linkara, and Linkara is this guy with like this weird secret fetishes and shit, and it's like been throughout his entire life, and he wrote a comic book that is just the worst fucking thing on earth, but his gimmick is reviewing bad comic books, so it's funny.
I
So
never,
it's
you know,
it's
I
kind
had
of moving
seen,
that direction.
I had heard. Well, first of all, I get your point with Lindsay. I mean, there's only so long you can stretch. What a bitch, am I right? Too, um, but I had heard of Linkara's comic, but like that was the first time I'd actually seen any of it. And the one thing that struck me, aside from the Chris Chan quality of it, was there's all this weird like rape themes running through it, right? And one of the earliest reviews of his, where I noticed he started to have a lot of like kind of SJW bullshit, was he was talking about a DC story called Identity Crisis, where one of his biggest complaints was there was a rape as one of the subplots in it. You know, and it's not like they showed anything. I mean, you know, it's not like it was hentai or anything. It's just some character got raped by a supervillain. That was one of the subplots. And he was having none of that. And in hindsight, I'm like, you fucking hypocrite.
Right, when you look at the porn history that he was into, and I mean, fuck, when you're listening to Lightbringer and he's talking about how do you create a female character that's raped in front of 1,000 people but doesn't know that's happening?
And like your main gang of villains sells
Who
sex
gets raped
slaves.
and doesn't know, like who gets raped in front of an audience and doesn't know they're being raped? What the fuck is that, Linkara? That makes no sense. I didn't even get a chance to talk about Angel Armor, his fucking books. He wrote books, multiple books before he started Lightbringer. So like you can go and buy that shit still. There are a couple like French websites that sell paperbacks of them. Like the whole series. You can read Linkara's fucking novels from when he was like 13 years old, and they're awful.
Wow. But yeah, I just, as I'm listening to this, and it's like, you know, the gang of villains is selling sex slaves, and I'm just thinking like, wait a second. This is the exact kind of shit, only done much more tastefully and better, that you complained about in another comic book.
Right, and there's something too with Linkara that I'm saving for the very end, and I think it's going to. I've got to. I'm really trying to make sure. I don't want to talk about it too publicly. It's something I've known for a long time. It's not insider information. It's just something I stumbled upon because I happened to notice it, and I think it's a big fucking deal. And I really, really want to get it right before I talk about it. But hopefully it pans out, because the finale. In that final video, if I'm right, if I can show exactly what it was that I saw and the connection, Linkara is fucking done. So it's a biggie.
Damn. Well, how about that? But I've been very impressed with the video series so far, because I mean, you're dare I say it, actually a journalist doing this. You're extremely, to quote the old phrase, fair and balanced. You know, none of these. I don't think anybody could really say these are hit pieces, except for just complete Dick Rider fans.
Yeah, I don't know. They're videos, you know. I don't fucking know. Like, you know, I enjoy doing them. I've had a pretty good time doing them. I'm actually liking Internet Insanity, to be honest. I kind of want to. I'm shifting focus into that. I've got one coming up this month that I'm really fucking hyped for, because I know the guy I'm doing it on is going to flip his fucking shit, because he does every time somebody dares to talk about him. So that's going to be entertaining.
Well, the Randy Stair video was amazing. As soon as I heard that break, I'm like, I hope Jim does a video.
Yeah, Randy Stair is insane. Like, who thinks that they're going to go on a killing spree and then reincarnate as a transsexual ghost cartoon? Like, what the fuck was he smoking?
I think my favorite comment in your video was like, yeah, we're laughing at him now, but he's the one having crazy ghost sex.
Right. I'm reading your chat. No, it's not. It's not Derek Smart, and it won't be DMCA. If this person tries to DMCA it, I'll fight it. I'm not going to let him get away with it. Fuck him. There are enough videos out there about this particular person scamming people for the last 5 years that fuck him. He deserves to have his ass lit on fire. And I'm going to compile it all, and I'm going to put it in a package that people can watch and be like, this guy's a piece of shit.
Hmm. You ought to do one on Movie Bob too. That'd be great.
Listen, my gripe with Movie Bob has been the same that it's always been for the last 4 years, which was his conversation with Sterling and his blog post about wanting to get a British teenager arrested because of a YouTube video. Fuck Movie Bob. He wanted to report the kid and get him arrested under hate speech laws because he was trolling people on fucking Twitch.
Well, his Twitter in the last few months, ever since Trump won, has devolved into like these weird fantasies about, committing genocide against red state working class people, and we'll have vertical farming in the cities, and we won't need those rural folk anymore. And he's got weird fucking, I mean, for a man who's, in his mid 30s and diabetic and obese and most likely a virgin, it's weird that he thinks he's the Ubermensch.
I see people mentioning, I don't even know how to pronounce the fucking guy's name. Onision, is that it?
Onision. Was that the guy that like...
They're
I'm thinking
asking
of Owen
if
Citizen.
they're asking if that's who it is. No. As far as Onision goes, I don't believe anything surrounding Onision. I think it's all completely 100% fabricated bullshit. I think him and the chick that he lives with, the asexual, pan-gendered fucking ponykin girl, whatever, I don't buy any of it. I think they've found like a good hustle, and all the drama shit they create around it is to generate views. I don't buy fucking any of it.
Yeah, I was blanking on who that was, but the I'm a banana guy. That guy is obnoxious as hell, but I mean,
I'm not saying he's not obnoxious, but I mean there were videos people were putting up talking about his wife, girlfriend, whatever, was dating another woman, and he had sent a text message to her basically telling her, you can fuck off now, and it said something like, oh well, if you want to stay, let me chain you up in the basement. And the video was basically, oh my god, he's a rapist, how could you say that to I've got a good nose for bullshit, and everything surrounding his channel and all the drama that seems to come from it, all the leaked chats and all the relationship stuff. It seems like YouTube 101 on how to generate views when your channel's dying. So I just don't buy any of it. So I have no interest in ever doing a fucking video on him.
Well, if he sings that "I'm a Banana" song, he should look into doing a crossover with Amazing Atheist.
I haven't been paying attention to what TJ's been doing. Like the last thing I'm aware of is I followed the harmful opinions thing. I think he got fucked really hard by a lot of people he shouldn't have got fucked by, and I know TJ was one of them. And that's about as close as I followed on what the Amazing Atheist has been up to.
No, I don't really follow him either. It's just, it's always fun to do the banana jokes.
Yeah. Well, there's a video that should still be up on YouTube where somebody interspliced his CNN interview with the porn video of him pouring hot oil on his genitals. And so it's great because every time the CNN host asks something, it cuts to TJ pouring oil on his nuts. I don't know if that's still up, but it's pretty great.
I found a GIF online where it's like him like shaking as he's doing that, and it says, "Allow me to perform the dance of my people." And it's become a game with friends of mine where I try and sneakily like send that to them.
Yeah, I am reading the chat. Your chat's yelling at you saying read the chat. Or at least one person in the chat was yelling at you saying read the chat. I am reading the chat, by the way. I'm trying to answer questions for that occasionally, I guess.
I don't know. I'm kind of glancing at the chat. I wasn't paying total attention.
There you go.
Yeah, I go in and out of paying attention to the chat. $7 Sanchez, someone is saying Jim and Tim forever. YouTube has a shelf life. Yeah, I don't think a lot of people can do YouTube for very long. I think it burns people out.
Yeah, I'd say you got about 5 years is the window on YouTube life. You can survive after that, but your channel numbers are going to sink. Like you've got 5 years to kind of climb, hit your peak, hit your numbers, and then you're done. I've seen that time and time and time again. Like I'm already seeing the new wave of shit coming in. All those fucking Viners that lost their platform have come over, and they have the fastest growing channels on YouTube right now. Like they're blowing PewDiePie out of the fucking water as far as how many subs they're getting per day. It's fucking crazy. Like you look at Jake and Paul Logan, is it? Two guys that did Vine and Instagram shit. They're like 7 and 11 million subs, and they've only been here for like 6 months. So like that's the next wave is going to be this. It's like that South Park episode, you know, where they were wearing what was the fucking band that was wearing purity rings, and Mickey was like, "We you know, Disney only makes money because we make little girls' ginies tingle." That's what the future of YouTube is. It's these fucking 20-year-old something guys that are good looking, that are coming from like Instagram and Vine, and are getting fucking ridiculous numbers right now.
Yeah, I think you can last longer, but it's rarity. I mean, like James Rolfe seems like he's probably going to be lasting for a while, but he's constantly evolving his channel, trying new things without throwing out the old stuff, and he seems very talented at just the business of doing this.
Yeah, there's always the exception. I mean, there's
But
always going
that's
to be
the exception.
the outlier. Yeah, but in general, I guess you've got about a good 5-7 years tops, and then it's kind of done. And your success will always pale in comparison by fucking magnitudes by the people that come directly after you. So you may have crazy growth and great views, and you started in 2012, and by 2015 it looks like you're doing amazing, and then here comes some fucker in 2016 who does everything you did in 3 years, and he does it in 1 year, and the guy that comes after him is going to do it in 6 months. The internet moves really quickly, and it gets quicker and quicker and quicker. And so it's not even 15 minutes of fame. It's like fucking 5 seconds of fame. So like all these people that are hanging their hats on a YouTube career, it's just a disastrous decision, especially with that ad revenue. I mean, I know a lot of these YouTubers are all freaked out about ad revenue. So I don't know what the fuck they're going to do.
I would be very, I mean, if this channel ever blew up and was making me tons of money, I'd be very gun shy about making it a full-time job because it just seems like the kind of thing you can get stuck in. I mean, with Spoonie, I've often wondered if part of the reason, like, he doesn't want to do it anymore, but maybe he's kind of stuck where he's almost unemployable. I mean, you know, when you have basically a 10-year gap in your resume, you know, and you sit down in front of some baby boomer HR person and you're like, I made YouTube videos. I mean, you can maybe spin that as like it was a hobby and then it made me a lot of money, but now it petered out. But they're going to go look up your videos, and in Spoonie's case, they're going to see some strung out guy yelling at people at 3 a.m. while he's playing a video game, and they're going to think that guy's going to shoot up the office.
Right. YouTube should never be a career. I mean, if you're going to go the monetary route of doing ads or Patreon or PayPal or merchandise or whatever the fuck you're going to do, like that should be your rainy day shit. Either you've got an emergency in your life where you need the extra money, or if you're making the money and you don't have the emergency, save that shit up while you have a career on the side, because it's eventually going to fade away. And if you depend on it, like that brings us kind of back to like Mr. Gout, right? DSP.
Mm-hmm.
Phil is fucked. Phil is so horribly fucked. In another 2-3 years, he has nothing. He'll have a 10-12 year gap of no employment. He'll have 2 mortgages. He'll have a car payment. He'll have $25,000 in debt and credit cards. No money in the savings account. No money in his bank account. And he'll have a bunch of fucking anime figurines and fucking video game copies for consoles nobody gives a shit about. He's going to have to move back home with mom and dad. But the problem is, by then, mom and dad are getting up there in age, and they're not going to be able to take care of Phil. They're going to want Phil to take care of them. You know, you got all these older people, 50, 60 or so, their health is declining. He's going to basically spend the next 10 years of his life nursing his parents. And when they finally kick the bucket, the inheritance he gets is going to go to pay the debts he already has, and he'll be left with nothing. And then what's he going to do? He's going to be bagging groceries or pumping gas, and that's going to be his life until he's 80. Well, and that's the fucking harsh reality, because he's not planning ahead. Phil made a lot of fucking money in the beginning. If Phil was smart, he would have put that shit away in a savings account, in a Roth IRA account. He would have invested it in the market. He would have done something intelligent with it. But he bought figurines, and he went on trips, and he bought fucking fancy cars, and he did stupid shit with the money he made because he had no foresight or pre-planning when it came to what's going to happen when this well dries up.
He could have finally opened that Italian restaurant where they sell toilet bacon.
Ron Herb saying Phil owns a house and a condo. No, Phil owns a mortgage on a house and a mortgage on a
Yeah,
condo.
the bank owns a house that they're renting to Phil.
Right. Phil needs some fucking rent money to keep that condo from sinking his ass, and he needs to be able to pay his mortgage on his house.
Well, I mean, and King of Pole did a video. I just watched it tonight. I don't know when it was, but he talked about how, Phil very obviously doesn't like video games anymore. So, I mean, even if Phil was doing okay financially, he'd still be kind of trapped in his own personal hell where this thing he used to like doing has become something he hates.
Well, people are bringing up taxes. That is one thing I will say I think Phil does properly. I do, from what I understand, and I've heard him say it repeatedly in the past, he pays his quarterly taxes, which is the smartest fucking thing that he does out of everything that he does. If he wasn't paying his quarterly taxes at the end of the year, if he made $40,000, 33% of that will come due in April. And he's going to be so fucked he wouldn't know what to do. So I think he does pay his quarterly taxes on the income he gets online. But even that aside, he's so fucked on debt. I can't even imagine. Like, his credit score must be in the toilet. I would guess with what Phil's credit score would probably be like 250 or 300, and that would be lucky if he was 250 or 300.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, Phil's in a bad place, and he knows it. He knows it. He's in much more of a panic mode than he's ever been.
No, Phil. Okay, Phil is doing what Spoonie. Phil is starting to do what Spoonie did, right? Spoonie got down on himself. He started getting depressed. He started drinking. I'm not saying Phil's drinking, but basically Spoonie he mind fucked himself. He let himself sink deeper and deeper until he did nothing. What's Phil doing this next week? If you know you're in a bad financial situation and you really need to make the money, right? You really need to bust your ass. And you stream, you should be streaming every fucking day. But Phil's taking a week off. He's not going to be streaming. He's just going to upload old gameplay footage and shit. That's insane. Like, Phil, if you really need money, fuck your vacation. Sit your ass on the couch and play whatever the fuck it is your Patreons are asking you. Oh, I don't want to play Danganronpa, right? It's too weeaboo. I don't get enough views. Well, who fucking cares? The people that are paying you money are the ones that are asking you to pay it or to play it. So what do the views matter? The people that are giving you actual hard cash are saying we want to watch you play this shit.
Yeah, I've never understood that. When he's like, I don't want to do it. I'm like, this isn't a hobby. This isn't something you're doing. This is supposed to be your job. I mean, like when the Dark Soul thing, when he quit and he's like, I'm not having fun. And it's like, you're being paid to do it. I mean, just sit there and punch buttons for a while. You're being paid to. What
are you kidding me? Like, the way, so I have a Patreon set up and I do videos once a week, maybe more, right? If I were in Phil's situation, like, I love video games. So if I could sit on my ass for 8 hours a day on fucking Twitch playing video games and people gave me money for that, that would be heaven. Are you kidding me? Like, I'd be like, fuck vacation. I'm going to play fucking Nier. Fuck a vacation. Oh, they want me to play Danganronpa? Fuck it. Let's play all three of them. Let's do a fucking 72-hour marathon of fucking Danganronpa games. Who gives a shit? Persona games? Fuck it. Let's go for it. Oh, the boss is going to kick my ass? Well, I guess I'm going to have to really try hard to beat it. So it's fucking a payoff for the viewers when I finally do, rather than quitting like a bitch and then yelling at people saying, how could you put me in that situation?
You'd think people were asking him to actually fight demons. Like, he had to go into a fucking arena with a sword, and you're pushing buttons on a screen. And even if you hate the game, then just sit there and bitch about how you hate the game and get people all mad and interacting with you and have fun with them. You could just be sitting there going, look at this weeb shit. This is gay. And you get views. Like,
right, and I hate his excuse of like, oh, streaming is hard. Yeah, on election night, I streamed for, I think it was like 12 fucking hours when the elections were going on. Like, I got up to take a piss twice, had a couple of drinks, and just streamed. Like, I know it can get tiring, but it's possible. And if you do it every day, you're going to get used to it. And if you're doing an activity you really love while you're streaming, you're going to be fine. I'm not saying the guy can't have a sick day, and I'm not saying the guy can't take some time off occasionally, but if his ass is hammered on finances and he's in a bad situation like he's claiming he is, he should put his nose to the grindstone and really be fucking doing it every day and grow his Twitch audience, because I'll check occasionally on his Twitch channel and he's getting like 300 to 700 viewers. If he was really consistent and doing the things that people were asking him to do and wasn't so fucking angry about getting his ass. That's the other thing I don't get. Like, he plays fighting games and he gets so fucking mad when he loses. I play fighting games with my friends and I get my ass kicked. I'm fucking horrible at them, but that's not the point, right? The point is having fucking fun. You're playing a fucking video game. What are you getting so upset about? Like, you're going to get your ass kicked. There are going to be people that are better than you, Phil. You're not going to pick up Tekken 7 and be a master at it. You've got to work for it. There are going to be people that have put in way more hours than you have. Oh, it's a cheap move. Oh, they're doing some unblockable combo. No, it's just that you haven't figured a way around it yet. So maybe if you put the time and practice into it, you'd get really good at it. And then more people would watch you because you're the guy that knows how to get around that shit. But he doesn't think like that. And that's one of his fucking faults. He just doesn't think.
Well, I can't remember what game. I think it was Half-Life 2 that I watched him doing a playthrough of. And he had to do some sort of crouch jump that he didn't know he was going to do because he didn't play any of the other games or pay attention to any of the instructions or anything. Now, I never played that game, so I didn't know anything about that. But watch it, like, he would like stack barrels to get up onto shit and all. It was like watching some sort of challenge run, like, you know, where somebody tries to play Super Mario Brothers without killing any enemies or something, or play Zelda without getting the sword. It was the most frustrating yet also amazing thing I'd ever seen. And it was all because he just didn't want to look at the instructions and pay attention to what he's supposed to do.
Right. Yeah. So somebody was mentioning, excuse me, this is how you don't play. I saw this video like 2 days ago. I swear to God, the guy that did it is fucking incredible at editing. But this is how you don't play Tekken 7. It's like 4 hours. Nobody's going to sit and watch the whole 4 hours in one sitting. But the fucking editing on that is just mind-blowing. Like, people who are making fun of Phil are putting more production effort into it than Phil is putting into his own production. And that is insane to me.
Somebody did an animated video of Phil telling the story of going to see his girlfriend at the hospital when she had a panic attack. And it is the greatest Dark Side Phil video ever.
Is that the cartoon one?
Yeah, the little animated one where he looks like almost like a bean.
Yeah. What kind of asshole does that? You know, there was a stream he did like 6-7 months ago. I think it was on one of the Senzu Kojima podcasts when this happened. And he made an offhand comment. He was like, Leanna's sick. I'd better go wake her up so she can make me dinner. Like, he's such a cunt. Like, your girlfriend's in the fucking hospital, Phil. No wonder she left you. I'd leave your ass too. Like, you're in a relationship. You need to be able to depend on the other person. If you're fucking sick and you're scared and in a hospital, and the first thing they do when they get there is take your fucking turkey sandwich and yell at you, yeah, I'd dump your ass too. He's such a fucking retard.
And it also amazed me, like, he just goes out, you know, onto a stream. And I mean, maybe she didn't particularly want the world knowing she has panic attacks. Some people might find that embarrassing, you know. Maybe she didn't
he aired all her dirty laundry. Yeah, like, I mean, I have no idea about the chick's medical history. Who fucking knows? I like making fun of her for selling soap, but you know, it's weird. It's just weird. I don't know. Maybe they were already broken up, and he was telling the story out of spite. Like, look at this bitch making me go do this, even though we're not together anymore. But I suspect they were still together, and that was the final straw. And that's when she was like, "Fuck this, I'm done."
Yeah, that well, see, last year when he got caught jerking off on stream, I didn't know who he was. So, like, people that are on this stream with me regularly, you know, we're talking about it because everybody was talking about it, and I felt bad for him at the time because, again, I didn't know any better, and I'm just like, you know, the guy's trying to get the poison out, and he left his camera on. I feel a little bad for him, you know, and everyone's like, no, don't feel bad for him. Like, no, he's an asshole. And then I think it was a few months later, I stumbled onto your Brightside Bob channel, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, the thing with Phil, when I put up, he did the masturbation thing, and then I made a video mocking that, and Machinima took it down via copyright. But now that he's not with Machinima anymore, I don't think they can pull that down for copyright. So I'm probably going to put it back up. Fuck them.
Hmm. And Lord knows he can't probably do anything about it. Uh,
Somebody said, talk about Charlemagne the God and the MTV trolling show.
well, I haven't heard
Uh,
about this yet. I saw you talking about it tonight on Twitter, but I mean, I don't, I don't watch MTV.
Well, I'll give you some background story. So Charlemagne the God is this 4 foot tall black guy who hosts a radio show, and he's going to do a show on MTV where they hunt down trolls. And so I told him that he was a little bitch, and I said that he's acting like a little white girl because he's getting upset about tweets on the internet. And he said, he actually responded, he got upset by it and said, I'm gonna like your tweet and hunt you down. And we'll see how tough you are face to face. And the motherfucker did. He's got like 1.29 million followers, and he only liked 82 things. And sure enough, when you look at his likes, there's my tweet. So I got Charlemagne the Midget coming after me, which is super scary. Yeah, I'm going to buy him a stepladder so we can look at each other in the face when we talk. Like, what is this fucking guy going to do? Oh, God. Oh, people said mean things on the internet. Here comes Charlemagne to save the day. He sounds like a fucking Tumblr girl. Like, who gives a shit? What? Well, he's supposed to be like a shock jock, like a radio guy, and he's fucking whining about mean tweets on the internet. It's pathetic shit.
Well, just think, Jim, you might be able to be on MTV a mere 2.5 decades after it's worth being on MTV.
You couldn't pay me $1 million to set foot on that shithole of a network. MTV is the fucking asshole of television. They don't play music anymore. All their online content is clickbaity bullshit. I don't. What the fuck does MTV even do anymore? It's just pregnant teenagers and whores from Jersey. Like it's fucking reality television at this point. It's like TMZ decided to run sitcoms and used MTV to host them.
I know a lot of that online stuff is also stuff they supposedly put on their network, like social justice, absolute horseshit kind of stuff. Like that one Eddie Murphy looking black chick that's always whining about white people or something. I think she's on the actual network.
Yeah, I don't know. It's MTV is just awful. I miss my music television. I miss when they used to play music. That was fun. Back in the 20 fucking years ago when they had an idea what they were doing.
Yeah, I don't even know if the M stands for music anymore. If it's, I don't know, moron or something.
I have no melancholy because you feel sad when you watch the shit. That's what it stands for.
But in all fairness, I don't really watch TV anymore.
Who fucking does? Everybody's on the internet. Yeah. You could pay, Amazon Prime, $50 a year, Netflix, $8 a month, Hulu, $8 a month. When you add it all up, you could get more content from those three services than you could get from a fucking cable subscription. So what's the point of cable? What's the point of watching TV? To get news? Am I going to watch fucking CNN and MSNBC and Fox? Fuck that. I can read all the stories I need to read when they fucking break in real time. I mean, shit, social media is faster than television news. There's really no appeal. I mean, anything you want to watch is already online. There's no fucking point to television anymore. That's why half these assholes are trying to squeeze their way into YouTube. That's why Mickey Mouse is throwing a shit fit with their content, and all these advertisers are doing their little I don't know what you want to call it, last stand against content creators or whatever fucking shit they're doing. They want to move television online, and they want platforms that are already ready to go. So they want fucking Facebook, they want fucking YouTube, they want Twitter, they want all that shit so they can just supplant all their crap online because they think we'll watch it. Nobody's going to watch it. Nobody, what is it, Casey Neistat? Do you think anybody wants to watch that fucker and host an online CNN show? Nobody wants to watch that shit.
There's 3 shows on regular television I watch, and I could watch them all online. I watch Arrow and Flash because I'm a superhero dork, and I watch Rick and Morty, and I could go on like CW or AdultSwim.com and watch them like the next day. So yeah, I'm probably going to cancel my cable subscription, to be honest. I renewed it a few months ago, and it's one of those things where like the cancellation fee gets smaller and smaller each month. So I'm just waiting for that to go down, and then I'm probably just going to be like, just give me internet.
Well, part of it's control. Like with television, you don't have control. When you're watching a TV show, you can't skip forward. You can't, you know what I mean? Like you can't go past the point. Like if you're watching an episode and it's 40 minutes long and it's live, and you're like, "Fuck, I just want to see how it ends." You can't do that, but on YouTube you can. Like you have more control over the content that you're ingesting online than you do through television. The internet is a more interactive medium than old media is, and that's the appeal. That is what the hook is, and they just don't get that. And so they think they can bring the same shit over here, and people are going to sit and watch a 40 fucking minute episode of, I don't fucking know, Law and Order or whatever. I mean, like, have you seen the shit YouTube does now, where they've taken down all the copies people have put up of videos of copyrighted material, and you can rent an episode for $2? Like, I don't want to watch this fucking Law and Order season 3 episode 2 for $1.50. Fuck that. You know, I'll go and find it somewhere else, and I can.
Hell, if you go to a store that has used DVDs, you can probably get a season for $15. Let's see. What's going on in the chat? Glance over. Somebody says YouTube. Somebody says Family Guy streams. Oh, I've noticed that a lot of the cartoons like King of the Hill and Family Guy and Simpsons, there's tons of channels that have popped up recently with 24-hour streams of them.
Yeah, it's a way to get around the DMCA issue. It's actually kind of brilliant. They do it with news and sports too. But you've got to be careful on how you label it. But for whatever reason, YouTube's copyright and DMCA system is slower. I don't know why, when it comes to live streamed content than it is to uploaded videos, because their algorithm doesn't, like when you upload the video, it checks it against all this shit. But when you're live streaming, it can't really do that. It has to be manually reported. That's why you see all these fucking live streams of that shit. I'm sure they'll find a way to fuck that up too, but right now that's how it works.
I think it was like 2 years ago, maybe a year ago. Some Family Guy episode had ended with the guys playing like the old Nintendo, and they used some Let's Play footage off of like the internet just for the gameplay footage in it. And then a couple months later, supposedly the Let's Players had copyright strikes against them from Fox.
That's weird. I know Let's Players
was talking about that or something, but
yeah, I know Let's Players are getting their shit hammered as far as what's acceptable or not, especially if they don't have the umbrella protection of a multi-channel network. Like if you don't have a machinima or somebody backing you, you're kind of fucked with a lot of games now.
Yeah, I do a few like actual videos and stuff, and I've just decided to put them all on VidMe because I don't want to have to deal with any copyright bullshit, because I stream mostly on this, and if I get a copyright strike, I can't stream. So,
well, the nice thing is VidMe is introducing streaming, or they're talking about it, wanting to do it pretty soon here.
Yeah, I like VidMe a lot. I hope it takes off. YouTube needs the competition.
I liked, fuck, what was it? I think Keemstar had said that, oh, I'm not going to go to VidMe. Fuck, what's VidMe? And VidMe made a response video of them all mock hanging themselves in their office. Like, oh, how are we going to live if Keemstar doesn't come to our platform? So I kind of like the attitude of fuck everything. We'll do what we want.
Well, I mean, that was the attitude YouTube was all about, you know, originally 10 years ago, I guess now.
Yeah, well, in 2005 and 6, before Google bought them out. I mean, shit, I wish Stage 6 would have taken the buyout offers from maybe Yahoo or Microsoft. We'd have some competition.
All right. Well, I'm probably going to wrap this up then, because I'm just sort of rambling. And so real quick, though, Jim, what do you got coming down the pike video-wise? I mean, I'm sure you've mentioned this to your Patreon supporters and all, but...
well, yeah, I usually... It's always posted on the Patreon thing. I'll always put this schedule up ahead of time. But Deviant's Sonic Fandom is coming up this weekend. After that is going to be Internet Insanity on a particular individual that is going to be entertaining, at least for me. And then, of course, Enraged Enchilada for that guy with the glasses at the end of the month. Those are kind of the next three things that are really popping out, so to speak.
Good old Angry Joe. Who would have thought he'd end up doing the best out of all of them?
Joe has been the most successful, yeah, which is funny when you look at the kind of behind the scenes shit that went on with blistered thumbs and how the Walker brothers kind of fucked that up. So, Joe is probably the most successful out of all of them. That's true.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, Joe's one of those guys I really liked when I first discovered him, and then I realized he wasn't actually saying anything. Like, he has a really infectious energy about him. I feel like the biggest thing those guys can do well is kind of come across like your buddy, have that everyman appeal. But
yeah, well, he's fallen into a bit of a trap. I mean, he put up a schedule saying that he was going to release videos twice monthly. And then he put up a video that he pulled down within 24 hours because he got bombarded with negative comments and votes saying like, oh, it's too difficult for me to do a video. There's probably not going to be one out until July. I just can't get it out. There's stuff going on, and people fucking hammered him for it. They were yelling at him, saying he was a fucking rip-off artist, and it was bullshit, and it was a bad scene. So he pulled that video down really quick.
I remember everyone gave him a lot of shit when he had the video talking about Jew Wario, how it was monetized at first. But I kind of felt bad for him because I don't think he even thought of that. But everybody immediately jumped down his throat that oh, you're just making money off your friend's death.
Yeah, the Jew Wario thing is is a touchy subject. I'm just avoiding it outright with that guy with the glasses. Just because I have there's certain personalities and people from the website I'm just not going to touch because I have no reason to. Jew Oreo is one of them. Brad's another. I'm not going to do a video on Brad. It's shit like that.
Yeah, I like Brad. I always liked him. He doesn't like. I like a lot of these guys up until the point I find out they're a shithead. So if I don't know by now they're a shithead, nobody tell me. All right, Jim, thanks for being on. It was a pleasure talking with you. Big fan of your videos. Keep up the good work.
Yeah, not a problem, man.
That's all I got for tonight, everyone. Thanks for listening. Bechtloff out.